Hi, I'm Jason and welcome to my shop. I've been running my dust collection system for quite a while now using this corrugated hose. And I have this run throughout the shop, running to the machines as well as the main trunks. So what I'd like to do is replace the majority of it with this 4-inch galvanized pipe. And this will be significantly better than the corrugated hose. It doesn't have as much resistance because of these corrugations in the hose. So that's what I'm going to do in this third part, is replace as much of the stationary hosing that doesn't move with this. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to cut this hose. This is the main trunk going to the dust collection shed, and I need to replace it with this T. And the reason for doing that is that one, by doing this I will have a straight shot going along the wall for the new trunk, as well as this is going to allow me to branch off to this side and allow me to connect up various pieces of equipment over here that I would like to incorporate into the dust collection system I haven't done quite yet. So that's going to be the first order of action, is to do that. I find the easiest way to deal with this hose is to first cut it as much as possible with the utility knife, and then when it gets to the wire I will use my electrician's cutters to cut that wire. And you can hear stuff that's rattling around in here, and that's basically dust or small chunks of wood that were getting caught in these corrugation ridges even when the system's on. So by having a smooth walled pipe here, that's going to eliminate a lot of that. Also, it sags in places, and where it sags, it's tougher for those chips and dust to climb back up. So again, by having that smooth wall, that's going to help that. I'll use this as my guide for where I would like the pipe to run along the wall. Okay, so this will be my first run of the new trunk to this first branch, and this is the branch that goes off to my table saw as well as my router table that's built into the table saw. I Y it at the table saw, so I just have the single run coming off of this trunk. So my first distance I need to measure is from here to the new fitting, and that's right at 24 inches. So we'll cut that first one. So this piping is pretty good stuff, and it's easy to work with, but it's incredibly sharp. So one of the things I always recommend when working with this stuff is a good pair of gloves. And you want to use a good pair of leather type gloves like this, something that's tough for this stuff to cut through. Alright. And also on this, you'll notice that there's a regular uncrimped end, and then there's a crimped end. And the reason they do that is so this stuff can fit into itself one piece after another for a longer run. In the case of the dust collection system and the fittings actually fit very well in the non-crimped end. So my plan is to utilize that wherever I can, and then save the crimped ends for wherever I need to extend the pipe longer than a single 5-foot piece. In this case, we're going from one adapter to an adapter, fitting to a fitting, and we need to go 24 inches. So in this case, we're just going to mark from the uncrimped end in 24 inches and cut that. And I'm just going to use some regular straight cutting tin snips to do that. And this is just a good guide for as I go around the cut, I'll know right where I need to be. Okay, and then what you have to do with this stuff is there's a folded seam edge, and then there's this edge, which actually it's like a Z-bend. And what you do is you actually feed this down into that edge, So what you have to do is you just have to kind of get started and then work your way down the seam until you've completed the connection, just like that. And now we have a 24-inch section to put in our first run to our first adapter. And I'm still going to use the hose clamps on this. Slide on my next hose clamp, put on my next branch fitting, and in this case I'm going to rotate it slightly down and the hose will just come off like this. Okay, the next branch is going to be going up to this right here, but that means I need to replace the section between here first. And it looks like 28 inches. Now I just got to continue down the wall. For any section where I'm going to utilize this crimped fitting, these factory crimp fittings, I'm gonna actually put a little bit of foil tape around those particular points. If I try to use a hose clamp here, it will actually cause this to pretty much crush and actually make the problem worse. So by putting a little bit of foil tape around, that should seal this up really well. I get away with using hose clamps on the fittings because the plastic fittings are inside there are what are keeping everything from crushing. So so we're just gonna, that's how I'm gonna do these. And getting these together is not always the easiest. In fact, they're downright frustrating. There we go. And that foil tape will do a really good job at keeping that joint sealed there. Okay, here's the point where this is going to actually turn and go up the wall. I've installed a 90-degree elbow. These are adjustable, so you can really go from 180 all the way to 90, or any angle in between those 2 points. But I've got it at 90 degrees to go straight up the wall. And went ahead and put some of my foil tape on, since that was a metal-to-metal crimp fitting here between the elbow and the main trunk. I'll do the same thing here. Once I put that piece of pipe on, I'll do foil tape here as well. Okay, as you can see, after I made that 90 turn up, I'm going up the wall and making another 90, going across the ceiling of the shop, and then back down. And this is where I'm breaking it out for several other tools. I didn't show this part just simply because it's pretty much the same process over and over again. It's just fitting the pieces, cutting them into length, and so forth. So there's really no need to show that. But I would like to show you how I broke everything out right here for the tools on this side of the shop. Okay, on this side of the shop, you can see the pipes coming down, and I'm breaking it off into a couple different branches. One of them's coming here to the bandsaw. There's a blast gate. The other one is splitting off to the planer, which is on my planer cart here. And of course I left the hose a little long so I can move the cart.
can pull it out whenever I need to. And I've got a blast gate here. I also built a whole new manifold for this for the dust collection on the planer, and I'm going to be doing a separate video on that in the near future to show the details of that. It's hard to tell behind the ladder here, but there is a 2.5-inch hose coming off of this branch up at here near the top, or about eye level. And that branch is meant to go over here to the chop saw part of the chop saw planer cart. And the whole idea is to try to capture some of the dust that comes off of the chop saw. I've found the dust collection on that saw really kind of sucks. So there's not a whole lot I can do other than just kind of attempt to capture some of the dust coming off of that. So that's the setup over here, and that's a majority of the dust collection on this side of the shop. Everything else is pretty much concentrated on the other side where the table saw and everything is. So hopefully that gives you a better idea. So there's a couple of questions when it comes to doing a dust collection system like this, and one of them is it worth it? And I think it definitely is worth it for health reasons, as well as just cleanliness in the shop. The other question is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Dust collection is kind of a fickle thing. It all depends on the tool and the dust collection method that was employed by the manufacturer. Some are good, some are really good, some are really bad, some are okay. I just kind of, with the tools that I have, just kind of applied the dust collection as best as I could to the tools that I have. So I did put quite a significant amount of money into the project, from building the dust collection shed itself, and then of course investing in things like the Grizzly blower and the Super Dust Deputy, and of course all the piping and all the fittings and everything. It adds up pretty quick. If I had to guess, I've probably got probably about $500, $600 into the whole thing. But it's I think it was well worth it. And it's going to serve me in the future. I should be able to expand upon it as I need to. The one thing that I am planning to do in the future is to upgrade the blower to probably a 2 or 3 horsepower blower. Which I'll need 220, 240 volt power in the shed. That's one reason I've held off from upgrading that, because that's a whole other project in itself to get the 220 power out there. So I think I can increase the throughput of the air, especially the connection from the Super Dust Deputy to the blower. I had to reduce that down to get to the blower, and that has a 6-inch outlet on the Super Dust Deputy, and some of the larger blowers have a 6-inch inlet. By going from the 6-inch output of the Super Dust Deputy to the 6-inch input of one of the bigger blowers, I can really increase the airflow. Thanks for watching part 3 of my series on dust collection. If you've missed parts 1 and 2, you can click on these links here and go see those videos. I highly recommend that you watch those so you can see how I got to the point of the dust collection system I have now. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.